Off in the distance came the faint drone of a large propeller-driven aircraft. The sound got steadily louder, when suddenly a curtain of red fire erupted from the sky and rained down on the rice paddies in front of us. Puff! Puff! The magic dragon. When Puff unleashed its first 6-second burst, every man knew instantly what it was. The sound was indescribable, a deep guttural roar that anyone who has ever heard and lived will always remember. Puff flew back and forth over the battlefield that night in 1967, dropping huge 2 million candle power parachute flares and occasionally lighting up the sky with his fiery red breath. When daylight began, Puff's work was done. The drone of his huge engines faded into the distance and a deathly silence lingered over the battlefield. Nothing moved in the eerie glare of the last flare as it floated slowly to the earth. The evolution of Puff the Mighty Dragon. The Mighty Dragon Puff evolved from very humble beginnings. The predecessor of the first fixed-wing gunship used in Southeast Asia was the World War II twin-engined C-47, DC-3, Gooney Bird, which was first brought to Vietnam as a transport and cargo ship in November 1961. Shortly after their arrival, many C-47s were outfitted as flare ships and designated FC-47, F for flare, to drop huge parachute flares over enemy positions during night attacks. In November 1963, FC-47s flung more than 7,000 flares over enemy positions. Due to increased night activity by the Viet Cong, VC, in 1963, it soon became apparent that a better night air effort was necessary. After much deliberation, and because of the diligence and persistence of several young Air Force officers, the modern concept of the fixed-wing gunship was accepted. The effectiveness of such a gunship was dependent upon its ability to direct concentrated fire on enemy positions in near proximity to friendly forces. The chosen craft also had to have enough power and cargo space to carry the necessary armament and heavy loads of ordnance. The flying maneuver that was necessary for this type of precision fire mission was to circle the enemy position in a tightly banked pylon turn while firing from side-mounted guns. This would allow the craft to sustain continuous fire on a relatively small area. A cargo or transport-type craft was needed for the huge amounts of munitions required, and it had to be propeller-driven, because jet aircraft were much too fast for the precision maneuvers necessary. The C-47 was chosen as the test plane. The armament chosen for the gunships was the General Electric rotary-barreled M134 machine gun, known as the minigun, which could fire either 50 or 100 rounds of 7.62 mm ammunition per second. Initially 3 miniguns per ship would be fixed-mounted in a side-firing configuration. Positioning the aircraft at the proper altitude and angle was the only means of aiming the weapons. Using this armament, a C-47 flying at 3,000 feet in a tight circle could place a bullet in every square yard of a football field-sized area, 5,000 square yards, in approximately 17 seconds. Gunships destroy, damage 10,000 enemy vehicles. During the winter campaign of 71 to 72, gunships destroyed or damaged over 10,000 enemy vehicles, destroyed 223 watercraft, and damaged 142 others. Most gunship activity in 1972 countered assaults by communist forces on fire support bases and provided fire support for troops. In February 1972, the first AC-130 Spectre was outfitted with a 105 mm howitzer in place of one of the 40 mm Bofors cannon. This gave the gunship a much greater firing range and allowed it to fire from a higher altitude. The addition of the howitzer also made the gunship a much more effective spotter aircraft. The ground explosion from the 6.5-pound artillery shell was much easier to spot by escorting jet fighter bombers carrying napalm. F-4 jets often accompanied gunships on missions. 3 was the usual complement. This allowed two jets to stay with the gunship at all times, while one left for refueling by air tanker. The combination was very effective at suppressing anti-aircraft fire. The truce of January 1973 ended American gunship operations in Vietnam and Laos. The last combat mission for American gunships was flown over Cambodia on August 15, 1973. Unquestionably, gunships played a vital role in America's efforts in Vietnam and were responsible for saving thousands of American lives. Major modifications, upgrades to the Spectre gunship. Since the end of the Vietnam War, the AC-130 Spectre gunship has undergone several major modifications and upgrades in its performance, armament, and electronics. The latest version is the AC-130U. This air-to-ground attack aircraft features advanced armament with new computer-directed gun systems. No longer stationary or fixed-mounted, the guns now have computer-driven, trainable mounting systems, integrated with fire control avionics. These advanced fire control systems are fed target coordinates from infrared and radar sensors. Two 20mm Vulcan cannon have been replaced by one General Electric Go-12/U-25mm Gatling gun. The new gun can fire 5 rounds per second, has greater range, has a much more powerful projectile, and is much more accurate than the 20mm Vulcans. Other armament includes one 40mm Bofors cannon with 256 rounds of ammunition, and one 105mm howitzer with 100 rounds. The new gunship can fire on 2 separate targets from an altitude of 20,000 feet, with a slant range of 25,000 feet, more than 4 nautical miles. This new capability greatly improves its standoff firepower and has improved its survivability. The U also has an advanced array of sensors including forward and side-looking radar, low-light television, infrared sensing devices, ISDs, a global positioning system, GPS, and inertial navigation systems. This gives the gunship, according to the Air Force, a method of positively identifying friendly ground forces as well as effective ordnance delivery during adverse weather and night conditions.